Well, so you finished the project, you wrapped up, delivered the finals, and now you've got 150 gigs of raw files sitting on disk. And you're wondering, am I going to have to buy another 6 terabyte drive? Well, the good news is that you can save a lot of space on your disk using a Davinci Resolve tool called Media Management. I was attracted to this tool quite a while ago, given its promise of saving space, but I couldn't quite work out how it worked. There are some videos available on YouTube, but I found them a little confusing. They don't seem to follow all the way through. So I've looked into this, and I'm going to take a detailed look at how media management works. So let's dive in. Here I've got an old project, one of the first ones I did using a Blackmagic 6K Pro, and it's got over 100 gigs of B-raw files. Now, up here under the File menu, you can see Media Management. Let's click on that. And this brings up a very simple dialog box. Now, across the top, you can see entire project, timelines, and clips. We're going to use entire project today. So we'll click on that. And now we have to choose between copy and transcode. Well, I'm not going to do any transcoding. I just want to copy the files, make things smaller, so I'll choose copy. Now, where are we going to keep them? Well, I've made a folder, and that's where the new files will be copied to. So now we have a number of copy options. Each of these shows the current size and the new size of the project files after the copy. First one, all media. This includes all files, whether used or not. Now, used media. All the original clips that were used in the project, regardless of how much each clip was used. For example, if 2 gigs out of a 20 gig clip was used in a timeline, then the entire 20 gig clip is kept and copied. Used media and trim. Now, only the parts of the original clips that are used in the timelines are kept. This is where most of the savings will occur. If you look down here, you can see just how much is being saved. Now, you're going to elect to keep a certain number of frame handles. That is, extra frames at the start and end of each segment. I've elected to keep 25 frame handles. That's equivalent to 1 second of runtime, since I'm using 25 frames per second. The space, as you can see, is now 31 gigs. Now that's a huge saving. Next option here is consolidate multiple edit segments. Now, where a number of segments from one original clip are used, they can be consolidated into a single clip, still smaller than the original. And this makes color grading easier if I want to do it again in future. Well, I'm going to skip this option. It doesn't make any difference to the size, so let's move on. Next one is preserve hierarchy. This essentially means keeping your folder structure intact. Now, this is important if you've got multiple clips which might have the same name, and this will happen if you're taking clips from different cards. And this last one here is vitally important. Relink to new files. If you don't select this, then all the files will be copied, but the project will essentially remain untouched. All your timelines will still be linking to the same files as they were before. If you click it, timelines will now link to the new files, the ones that are copied to the new location. And this is what we want, so that we can delete the original files. That was the whole point of the exercise. Now, with all the settings made, we can see the space saving. We started with 109 gigs, And we're finishing up now with 31. Let's set this in motion and see how long it takes. Well, that is now finished in just under 5 minutes. Let's check the timeline and see where the segments now link to. We can see they are linking to the files in the new location. Let's take a look at the media pool, and here we can see that we have files from both the old and the new locations. Let's close the project. Now I'm going to rename the old folder. I'm not going to delete it at this stage. We'll do that later when we're sure everything's working fine. We'll just rename it and then we'll reopen the project. Now looking at the media pool, we can see a lot of those dreaded media offline warnings, but it's only for the old files. We can now delete those from the media pool. We can check that our timeline is playing correctly. And delete the original folder. So there we have the media management tool on Davinci Resolve and how you can use it to save space on disk. Now you might say, well, why don't we just delete all of them and just keep the exported file? Well, you might want to have the luxury of being able to go back and do some color grading, perhaps rearrange your clips on your timeline, perhaps remove some. And this does give you the freedom to do that. Well, I hope you found that helpful. This is Paul Campbell, signing off.